Good morning, Andres. Welcome to the Bookaholic podcast.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Well, today we're here to talk about your new book coming out in February 2025, Captains Wanted. And this is your first book, right?
It's my first book.
Okay, all right. Well, you are a man of many gifts, many talents, many experiences. So, in order, I think, for the people to really get into more of the book, they have to understand who you are. And so I want you to give me an autobiographical account of Andres
Ooh.
and toot your own horn. Just toot your own horn. Tell it all.
All right. Well, I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, to Argentine Jewish parents. I grew up in a Colombian community, and then
Okay.
I went and eventually got a graduate degree from Harvard Kennedy School of Government,
Mhm.
and worked at Google, was one of the first 30 Airbnb employees, and then got to reach the pinnacle of corporate capitalist America by being on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange when Fiverr went public in 2019. And at some point, I realized that the pursuit of all of those external validation things and money and climbing the ladder didn't necessarily lead to fulfillment or my own self growth and empowerment. And so I embarked on a journey to, come back to myself and my own sovereignty. And Captains Wanted is an expression of that process.
Wow. Okay. So you named a lot of highly commendable and successful things. And I think a lot of people, no matter what their age, no matter what their gender or ethnicity background, we all get caught up in that. And for us Americans, that's termed, and maybe the term has been twisted, the American dream. And, when I was younger, it was you've got to go to college to be successful. Not just all those things that you just mentioned, but the baseline was go to college, you'll be successful. And I, especially myself, went to UNC Chapel Hill, graduated from UNC Chapel Hill, and that did not guarantee success. I had a hard time, had a hard time getting a job. So, a lot of these, and people get so hung up on these outside success steps to the ladder of success and quote unquote happiness, because a lot of times people are saying success is happiness. You get caught up on that, and a lot of people's lives are completely wasted because they're still relying on that. So,
Yeah.
with that said, with Captains Wanted, which is a novel, let's make sure everybody knows, because it sounds like we're going down a nonfiction road, but we're not. Captains Wanted is a novel. But how can this novel transform people that's on that trajectory of what society terms as success?
Well, the book is written in second person. It does start, in fact, with a job interview. I think it's modeled after my job interview question at Google. But
Mhm.
basically, this person, the main character, which is you, arrives at this very prestigious interview and realizes that they don't have the right answers because the questions that are being asked are questions about the soul and not questions about what that person had previously accomplished. And the character isn't prepared because all they have done their entire life is live their life, like you said, to fulfill other people's expectations or to pursue that ladder of external validation. And,
Mhm.
the, and along the way, the character, and it's not a linear process, but the character stumbles and falls and goes to different ceremonies and spiritual, it has different spiritual experiences, interacts with nature, which is very important, and sort of starts to determine to come up with some discernment between who's really captaining the ship. And at first it might seem like the brain or the mind is captaining the ship, and at some point the main character hopefully figures out how to feel into their heart
Yes.
and to walk from there.
Yes, yes, yes. So, quick sidetrack. Did the Google interview focus on the spirit and the soul?
No, it
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
But the question that is in the book is a question that I asked over 4,000 times when I was hiring people at Airbnb.
Oh,
So I actually
okay.
used that question to really identify who I wanted to work with and who I thought was
Mhm,
going to get across the message of hospitality and warmth and opening up
mhm,
their homes to strangers.
mhm.
That even on the employee side, I was asking that question like almost every day, multiple times.
Wow, wow. That That's really good to hear. I wish a lot of I haven't been on an interview myself since way before 2005 because I've been a business owner since then, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'm hoping those who are hiring are asking some of those types of questions because that would give you a better representation of who you might like to work with. That's very interesting, and I love that. I love that answer.
Yeah,
So with Captains Wanted, why did you want to write such a book? And why did you choose to write it as a novel instead of
but
nonfiction?
right, right. Well, first of all, my best friend in college passed away from a terminal brain cancer, and his last words on this planet were, "I am the captain of this ship." So, as I was going through my own journey to come back to myself and my own empowerment and whatnot, I kept having those words resonate in my mind over and over again. And in a way, the book Captains Wanted is an homage to him and an
Mhm,
homage to what those words may have meant. And
mhm,
because so much of my own journey has been around separating who's actually in charge. You know, you talked about how often in immigrant or in minority communities we're pushed to succeed in a certain way, and a lot of that comes from survival mode mentality, and it's completely understood.
right.
However, we also kind of fall victim to the survival mode realities of the past and can sometimes recreate those very same fears over and over again if we're not
Mhm.
careful. And
Exactly.
I think I was doing that. And I didn't want to write a book where, well, the thinking was that the reader could potentially give away their power to another external force in their life, like an author or a main character. And I wanted to create an experience that would put the reader in the position of the main character.
Yes, 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 yes. Very brilliant. A very brilliant idea. And you yourself, I see that you've been through some traumatic events. Were you robbed in somewhere? There's some who robbed you? The drug lords that drugged and robbed in Colombia?
It probably was. I had those are two separate experiences. In one case, I was held captive by guerrillas in Colombia, and in another case in Colombia, it was I was drugged and robbed on a date, and I was
On a
given
jet?
yeah, I was given a drug called scopolamine or burundanga on the street, and it makes you this willing zombie in someone's criminal activity. So I gave away all of my passwords to my crypto accounts, and they were
Mm,
wiped out. But yeah, and it was awful. It was definitely traumatic. But at the same time, I have to say that at that time I was over identifying with money. I was
mm,
very much susceptible to what had happened because I was not. I was numbing hard and difficult emotions. I
mhm,
wasn't really looking at my self-worth stuff that had been kind of brewing underneath the surface for a long time. And
mhm.
while I don't wish that traumatic event on me or anyone else, I have to recognize that it has been a great lesson.
Right, right, right. It's kind of like you were worshiping money.
I was.
state, so to speak, and then you had this experience. I will tie this into coming from a Christian background. I had a picture of a boy. I was a teenager. I was like 12 or 13. I had a picture of a boy. He gave it to me. He was a football player. He was very handsome, and I just kept that picture close to my heart, and I just loved it. And one day I couldn't find it. And lo and behold, I had put it in the pocket of some of my jeans. My mother washed the jeans and it came out, and she said, and it was faded. And my mother looked at me, you shouldn't worship things. I guess she was just waiting to tell me that because
That's
she
funny.
she saw me clutching that picture of that boy, and when
Right.
it got faded out, so I don't know. I believe in a lot of elements of the universe, and the universe comes to teach us different things. And unfortunately, that was one of yours for holding on to money as a worshiping.
Yeah,
That was mine, holding on to a boy's picture, worshiping it. So yeah,
totally. And
we go
I'm
ahead.
so thankful that like maybe it's because of my upbringing or something in my makeup made it so that it didn't break my faith in humanity, that it
Correct.
inspired me to keep putting out work and creative expressions out into the
Right.
world.
Right.
And I'm thankful that I took the time to let that experience sink in. I went home to New Orleans. I cried in my mom's arms at 38. I still needed her,
Yep.
and I did a lot of yoga that like helped me really embody the experience and I didn't want to numb because I knew the numbing was part of the reason that had gotten me there. So I really took time to be in the difficulty of that situation and to then come out of that stronger.
Exactly. And you speak of something I think that is very critical, really important to our mental health is the numbing. A
Mm,
lot of people don't want to feel pain.
yeah.
And but we all go through pain of some type just about all the time. If it's not physical pain, it's some type of challenge or mental pain that we're going through, and people aren't strong enough, maybe I'm using the wrong word, or willing enough and to embrace it and to be in that space and to find out, to question why, or how can I deal with this better, or so it takes a very brave soul, a very brave heart to face the challenges before us and not numb ourselves up with whatever, avoidance, denials, alcohol, drugs, whatever. So
Yeah.
definitely that is definitely something that more people ought to come into that space, and you have to face the facts. Now, speaking of drugs, it mentions that plant-based medicines and psychedelics make an important appearance in Captain's Wanted. So tell us
Yeah.
about that, and why did you incorporate that?
Yeah, they've had an important role in my own healing journey,
Mhm.
only in so much as that these experiences often gave me a really like visceral body connection to what it feels like to feel unity and connection to spirit.
Mhm.
And I think if I didn't have those experiences, I'd be operating more in the space of just faith. And it's really nice and really important to feel the presence of spirit and of something greater than yourself, to then
Yeah.
know that you're moving towards that in your life and towards your higher self or towards unity or whatever it is that you believe in. But I do think sometimes along the way we need little ways to really feel the the connection to God or spirit or unity rather than just have faith.
Right, right, exactly. I agree 100%. Now I'm going to read a little bit of a snippet out of the book. This is from the very beginning, but first the map. Okay, so it seems people want to believe there are secrets, keys, gurus, principles, values, affirmations, lessons, or other short lists that become foolproof recipes for success, whatever that word is supposed to mean. We're told to live out our passions. We're told to follow our dreams. We're told that the rent is going up and that being alive is expensive, that being sick is expensive, that even dying isn't affordable. For this reason, most of us are imprisoned, pushed and pulled by a sense of scarcity. We're not operating from the heart. The heart, we're told, isn't good for business, but the heart is good for life. It is life. And life, as it turns out, is good for everything. That's a lot. And that's only on the second or third page. That's a lot to take in. And I didn't read the entire block of quote. That's a lot. So let's walk ourselves through what you wrote here. And because true, a lot of people want to believe that there's some key, like you said, some affirmation, some vision board that could lead to a key for success. And then you say whatever success is supposed to mean, live out our passions, blah, 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 blah. You know the quote, you wrote that. So tell us about that. Break it down into pieces because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
It's a lot of high
Yeah,
value,
I,
but
I,
it's a lot.
I think often we're really as humans susceptible to fear.
Mhm.
We're sold constantly that we're going to die, that we're not going to have enough money, that the fires are going to take over, and that the elected officials are going to do this, and the elected officials are going to do that, and that someone else is going to solve your problems. All you need to do is X, Y, and Z, and if you don't do it, then you're not going. Anyway, there's so many ways in which fear is thrown into the world around us.
Yes.
And if we're not careful, then that fear then runs the show.
Right.
And
Right.
you add on top of that one of the most strongest systems that I think exists, especially in the United States, and that's the whole capitalist corporate part of our society. And that's a system that specifically preys upon fear in order to maintain hierarchy.
Yes.
And part of that maintaining of the hierarchy requires people not to have any connection to their emotions or their heart, because that's a threat to the system and to the hierarchy. Because if
Yeah.
my employee that is reporting to me actually believes that something is wrong or they have certain feelings, well, that might reflect poorly on me. So it's not in my incentive to have the person who is below me have
Right.
any feelings or thoughts.
Wow. Yes.
So, so then the next logical jump from that is, well, if we're giving away our power to fear, and if we have a whole system that really values taking away people's emotions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
well, what is the alternative that allows us to live a life that is on our own terms, that is connected to something greater, deeper, something meaningful that comes from inside? And
Yes.
and I believe that at that point, and this is where the connection to everything comes, is that that's the point where we will care for one another and the planet. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
this individual journey into finding your own self and your own connection to your heart is an individual journey. It's just at the outcome of that, we come into unity and connection with each other and the planet.
Yes, 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 yes. Beautiful. Now, I've been thinking for the last few weeks because I pick a word for the year, and my word for this year is introspection.
Mm.
Introspection. And so I've been thinking about the ancients. And when you look at the pyramids, and then I've been blessed to go to the Louvre twice in my life. Hope to go back many more times. But when you go through the Louvre and you look at those ancient Greek and Roman statues, and they are amazing and beautiful and have stood the test of time. And I was like, could anybody in our society create such a thing? Now, a lot of people think that may be technology, but I think those people at those times, even though Hebrew slaves helped to build the pyramids, but the fact that those ancient people, they had presence of mind in order to create such things. And I don't think, because of sometimes technology, our phones, scrolling through our phones, controlling them. People, this is a book channel. There's a lot of people that don't read. We don't have the presence of mind or the introspection or the soul or the heart, as you're expressing, to even create such things anymore. What's your thoughts on this? This is a sidetrack question.
Yeah, I mean, I can only really speak for my own creative process, and I
Mm-hmm.
am very keenly aware that when I'm going down really unhealthy paths, say with my phone or with social media, I sense that I'm not in the right state of mind to receive the inspiration that I think is necessary when I'm in my most creative flow.
Right.
And I think I've come to realize that what happens is I'm actually using these different technologies like the phone or social media as a way to numb.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm numbing away in many ways my ability to tolerate discomfort. And if I were to allow myself to sit in the discomfort and to build up my tolerance to it,
Mm-hmm.
I would then allow for emotions to flow through me. Because actually, when you don't attach too much to your emotions, but you allow them and welcome them and accept them and love them, even if they're uncomfortable, they
Mm-hmm.
don't last too long inside of you. They kind of like move through you. I think they last a maximum of 7 seconds if we really weren't attached to them.
Right, right, right.
And when I am in a state where emotions can flow through me, like there's an energetic flow that is happening through me, I feel like from that place, that is
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in my most receptive state to be able to receive a creative inspiration that is great and
Right,
most connected to source.
right, right. Exactly, exactly. Wow. Wonderfully said, beautifully said. I challenge everyone to pick up a copy of Captain's Wanted. It is a great novel that will take you on your self discovery journey. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andres. We'll have a link in the description box below where you can pick up the book.
Thank you so much.
Andre, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.